They are both Jade through it, but FrOzen is playing
the
Violet Teacher build.
Neither player wants to look at this. Oh, wow. Oh, interesting.
That is not something I expected to see. Tom keeps Ultimate Infestation. He finds Wild Growth. He finds Jade Blossom.
Will that pay off? I mean, FrOzen had 2 Ultimate Infestations, but he opted to go for the early game ramp opportunities.
Well, Tom has that ramp. Wild Growth gets the engines churning. FrOzen finds Innervate.
Yes.
He can coin out the Jade Blossom, and then next turn he can Innervate out Nourish. FrOzen's build includes 1 copy of Innervate.
Yes. And that early game tempo does matter, as being able to get your Jade count ahead of your opponent often will tilt the battles in your favor. The early game minions, it used to be Jade Spears from the past, but now the Jade Behemoths won't matter as much.
Attention, class.
Violet Teacher comes down, and Tom does not have an easy way to deal with this.
He does not have any armor gain to let that Ironwood Golem attack. Unless he decides to fire up Branching Paths, he does not. It is Jade Blossom. Wow. Tom already up to 7 mana next turn with the Infestation in hand.
A crucial moment in this game here, since FrOzen has 2 forms of card draw, but 2 forms of alternative uses as well. Gaining mana crystals can help him jump ahead of Tom's ramp.
One of the really powerful things about Branching Paths is it does allow you to more aggressively use Nourish for crystals. So FrOzen can use his Nourish and still have the Branching Paths to fall back on if he can't immediately find an Ultimate Infestation. And he goes for it. He's ramping up. We are going to be finding some heavy hitters very soon in this game.
He knows that Tom still doesn't have the armor gain. He would have to generate it through Malfurion, and even then still doesn't have a way to answer the Violet Teacher.
Vandal plus Wrath here allows him to answer Violet Teacher.
Yes.
His Jade Gold.
Now Tom is firmly ahead of the board.
FrOzen has that Innervate. If he does find an Ultimate Infestation next turn, he will be able to cast it. But this turn, it looks like it's time to be a Death Knight. Malfurion the Pestilent. Is it Spider time? It's always Spider time.
It's always Spider time, and you know, now we're starting to reach the climax of what these early game decisions will lead to. FrOzen chose to throw away the Ultimate Infestations, and now is looking a little weak on the card draw outside the Branching Paths. And then Tom is going to have plenty of resources.
Double draws here, finds Jade Idol and a Wild Growth.
Wow.
That'll get him to 10 for next turn. Jade Idol plus Spellstone lets him empty his hand, take down one of these spiders. Next turn he will have Infestation plus Arcane Tyrant. FrOzen does not find Ultimate Infestation of his own.
Pay attention, class.
Violet Teacher Branching Paths does let him go quite wide here.
I am ready
Even
to
has
learn.
potential to Mark of the Lotus as well. And this ability to go wide is much stronger against the threat of an individual Ultimate Infestation. But he still doesn't quite have the tools to take down both Fandral and the Golem.
Yep. Decides to even hold on to his Innervate. This Fandral is now going to stay onto the board, which allows Tom to kill that Violet Teacher.
Ultimate Infestation, like so many times before, draws Tom a huge hand. Another Infestation. Tom is just firing on all cylinders here.
I guess the solace is that FrOzen is still kind of keeping up in the Jade count right now. But still looking kind of dicey here.
He is not keeping up in card.
He does have the board tempo though. That is a lot of Jades, and FrOzen's almost out of cards.
FrOzen needs a big draw right now. He's shaking his head. He did not find it. Branching paths, let's dig once again.
Oh, and Aya Blackpaw just gets drawn.
Golems are a girl's best friend.
That's pretty big for FrOzen.
It is, but his Jades are still smaller than Tom's. He is still behind. Tom has the opportunity to take lots of advantageous trades here. And with the Arcane Tyrant in his hand, Infestation number 2.
Yeah. The builds of the decks are really starting to show. FrOzen doesn't have these Arcane Tyrants for the swings. And Tom, with the early gambit of Ultimate Infestation, is paying off in spades.
Another shake of the head. Spreading Plague is not it. We'll buy him some time. Tom with a fistful of cards will not give him too much longer.
FrOzen choosing not to remove a minion, instead play Oaken Summons on no minion just for the armor gain.
Tom has a pair of swipes here. He can pick apart these scarabs and start pushing for damage. He can also just build more Jades. He has a behemoth. He has a Jade Idol. Behemoth takes more Jade, swipes to the face, lets all these 4-attack minions take down the scarab. Tom has an army. FrOzen finds Wild Growth.
Card draw too late. Where are his Ultimate Infestations? He chose not to keep them. And now Tom has all the time in the world to establish his board presence. Things are looking dire for our USA player.
Tom finds an Aya of his own. He has so much pressure.
Even with such a sharp advantage, Tom is still looking to make zero mistakes here.
FrOzen shakes his head. Tom marching his Jade Golems to victory.
This might be too much, Gibbler. This is so much damage. 15, 25, 30, 31, 34, plus burst into hand. Ultimate Infestation is finally drawn.
If it gets too late, FrOzen picks up a hand of cards, but Tom has a board full of giant minions.
He has 28 on board. The branching pass allows him to get an additional 10, that's 38. Swipe is 42. 43, he'd still be short, even if he could go all phase with everything.
But even if he can't kill him this turn, this board is almost inevitable. FrOzen, look at his hand, he has swipes. He can pick apart a few minions, but not all of these giant monsters.
This is looking like it's gonna be over soon.
FrOzen takes off the headset. Tom's victory is his. tom60229 is the 2017 Hearthstone World Champion.
We have a new member in the Hall of Champions. tom60229 from Taiwan takes the Hearthstone World Championship.
His first appearance was at the first World Championship.